Welcome to Conversations on Resilient Leadership. I'm Jim DeVries, founder of Enhance International Group and your host for today's episode. This podcast series is where we dive deep into the minds of leaders who have not only navigated through uncertainty, but have emerged stronger, more innovative, and more resilient. Whether you're a seasoned executive or an emerging leader, each episode offers you unique access to the strategies and insights of top leaders who are redefining leadership in today's dynamic environment. Today, we have the privilege of sitting down with a remarkable leader, Keren Novack, president of Curion from the great state of Illinois, my birthplace, so it's a great state. Keren began her career at L'Oreal USA, where she discovered not only her passion for understanding the deep connection between consumers and products, but also for building relationships and cultivating communities that inspire. Her natural curiosity led her to Dragon, which emerged from QRS to become Curion in 2017. At Curion, Keren continued to expand her experience and expertise to consumer insights, working with some of the world's largest brands across the food, beverage, restaurant, and personal care industries. Keren's insatiable curiosity and desire to understand people have helped countless brands develop products that truly connect with their consumers. As Curion grew from 30 employees to 300, Keren seamlessly transitioned from researcher to VP of Client Services Midwest in 2017 before becoming and being named president in January of 2021. Today, she's at the forefront of shaping how brands connect with consumers, driving meaningful impact through cutting-edge research and strategic innovation. Beyond her work at Curion, she serves on the board of the Center of Enriched Living, CEL, an organization dedicated to supporting and empowering individuals with disabilities. Her passion for leadership, innovation, and making a meaningful impact extends far beyond the business world. It is an honor and my pleasure to have Keren join the podcast series.
Thank you so much, Jim. I'm really excited to be here and have a conversation with you today.
I'm very excited. So we'll just kick it right off. And, what does leadership mean to you?
Oh gosh. Well, leadership's one of those catchphrases, right? Those terms that just gets thrown around so easily. And it's seen as, I think, by many people that comes with something that it comes with a title or tenure or experience. For me, experience doesn't make a good leader. What makes a great leader is going to be someone's ability to influence others. A title does not make somebody a leader. That's the most common misconception that I see across the board. A leader is someone that people have chosen to follow. And some of the best leaders that I've known in my career don't actually hold a position of great authority. They might just have one or two people reporting to them, or maybe none at all. But there's somebody that you choose to follow, someone that inspires your work. And so I think with that, it's all about influence and creating a followership. And the followership cannot be forced. I think that's something so critical people don't realize all the time. I grew up with horses. And so the age-old phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, rings so true to me in leadership. I can put people on anyone's team. I can put them on my team, but I can't make them follow me. And that followership, earning that followership is what's truly is about being a great leader.
So I'll just dive a little deeper on there because you set me up here. What are some of the things that you do to get people to follow you and what you see in others?
Yeah, it's about elevating the people around you. And if they feel that you're personally invested in them, they are more likely to follow you. Not a guarantee. You then need to lead by example. And if people see you rolling your sleeves up, they see the human side of you as a person, not just an authority figure within a company. They're going to see that authentic side of you. And that's what's going to really build up the credibility that you have. The ability to elevate people and lead by example. That's when you're going to end up with trust.
Yeah. So one little comment that you made in there that I just want to go into, the vulnerability. You almost said it, but you didn't say it. So how does that vulnerability, how does that fit in?
Yeah. Vulnerability is such an important piece of it because you hear so many leaders. I almost feel like it's a little bit of a catchphrase. I'm not the smartest person in the room. No, nobody's ever the smartest person in the room. And you wouldn't want to be, and you wouldn't want to be in the room with anyone who thought that they were the smartest person in the
Yeah.
room either. So I think it's about being able to recognize everyone's got strengths. Doesn't matter who you are, recognizing what those are and then recognizing what your weaknesses are, recognizing where you need help and support. I need to surround myself with the people that are going to help us to collectively answer this question. We're going to lock hands and do this together. So I think understanding where your weaknesses are, bringing those people in. And then there's that, going back to that human side of it, showing who you are personally is something that people are going to appreciate because they see you not just as their boss, their manager, their leader, but as someone that, as I learned very early on, we all put our pants on the same way in the morning, one leg at a time. There's no difference between any one of us in the room. It's just where we've learned to create. It's where we've learned to follow, where we want to follow, where who's inspiring us. And so I think creating that level of vulnerability is important. It shows people that you're human. It shows people that you're doing the same as them every day.
Excellent. Excellent. So do you have any leaders that you kind of looked up to over the years that been inspirational to you personally or otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, I think what there is a couple of key themes that come through. I say this one a lot. I want a leader that is unapologetically clear on the vision that they have, whether it be for the company, the initiative, whatever it is. The best leaders that I have worked with don't hesitate or second guess their purpose in what they are doing. You want to know that the person you are following is not going to lead you off of the cliff. And I think if you look at a lot of the great leaders that we could all probably name in the world and in business, one thing would be true is that they all unapologetically lead with a vision. They don't just lead with authority, they lead through influence. They inspire people to come along with them. And a lot of people don't even know that they're doing it until they turn around and go, wait, where did all these people come from?
Yeah.
And I think that the last part, well, one of the last parts, I could probably go on for a while on what these leaders have in common is the never stop learning. And that goes
Mm,
back to I'm not the smartest person in the room and I don't want to be, and I want to know what you know. Yeah.
nice, nice. So switching it a little bit, but bringing it back to the beginning, when did you find out that you were going to be a leader? How did it come about in your life? Was it something that started when you were young, or is
Yeah.
it something that came about as you got older? When did
Yeah.
you realize it?
Well, I'll tell you the story of when I realized it, but I think if you were to go back and ask my parents, they probably would have said, well, when she was about 2 years old. I've always been a very passionate person. I know what I want, and there's not a lot that's going to stop me from getting it. But I grew up as a very shy child. I hid behind my mother's skirt. I was afraid to reach out and make new friends. And a part of that might be you might have thought, well, my moving school so frequently, I would have eventually learned to go put myself out there. But in effect, it did a little bit the reverse until I got to college and was like, I got this. I'm going to go make some friends. And, so I think it wasn't until I got much further on into my career where I realized that this is what I wanted to do. And I think I was thinking back, I think there's one pivotal story about 9, 10 years ago. We had hired a new account manager. She was phenomenal, type of person that walked in the room and you go, where did she come from? I mean, aside from being absolutely brilliant and impeccably dressed and witty, she was just inspiring me to be a better person, better version of myself. She was sharp, she was confident and unafraid to stand her ground. A lot of things that I aspired to be and maybe was in my home life, but hadn't been able to take into the professional world yet. I was working very closely with her. We were in the same office together. But the leadership that we had at the time, they were based out in California, they didn't know how to handle her. And I don't know if it was a distance thing or whatever it was, But we had been doing a lot of the same work year over year, working with the same clients, growing in a very steady place. She came in and was unapologetically going to change the status quo. And she felt that there was a better way that we could do things. So there was a little bit of unrest, as you might imagine, with somebody young coming in like that. And so I raised my hand after a period of time and said, hey, what if she reports to me? This was my first direct report about 10 years ago. I knew that if I gave her the right support, she would absolutely thrive. And even more than that, we could thrive together. We've worked together over a number of years, and she's the person that I link back to. Hey, I knew I could do it then. Things sort of fast tracked at that point. Once you have one person, I turned around a few years later and I had 40 people reporting to me. We'd gone through a couple of major changes, an acquisition, merger of two companies come together, certain key people left, and turned around and was like, oh, look at all these people behind me. But she was the moment where I realized, hey, I want to do this. I love the research. I love the clients. But what really is getting me out of bed in the morning is the people on my team.
Well, I mean, moving from one direct report to 40 is quite a transition, isn't it?
It sure was.
So how did you do that? Because I mean, that's one of the biggest struggles of leadership is, going from managing people to
Yeah.
leading people.
Yeah,
And
sure.
there's a big step change in mindset there. So how did you make that transition?
Yeah. So the first there was a few transitions here. The 1 to 40 was messy. We had just gone through an acquisition. I had finance and HR and facilities and the research teams all reporting into me. It was sort of my first interim CEO job, if you will. And that was messy. That was a lot that I learned there that I would not like to go back and repeat. But man, those are the experiences that really make you. Those are the experiences that really, when you learn what not to do, right?
Yeah.
Things settled back out after that. And I went into having a little bit of a smaller team, more manageable team for where I was at in my career at that point, and then got promoted into the role of VP. And so at this point, I had a whole region under me officially, and just within the research insights aspect of it, we'd found a CFO at the time and found an HR person. And so things had kind of smoothed out a little bit. But one of those challenges was going from peer to leader. And that's tough because you have these people that were used to calling you up and maybe having a little vent session about what was going on, to having to redefine that relationship in a way that we start problem solving together and setting boundaries, making some tough calls about what we need to do together. Setting boundaries is probably one of the hardest things that you have to do as you transition from peer to leader. And I think that was in that I was very fortunate at that time that I had the opportunity to work with an executive coach.
Oh, there you go.
And that it was a game changer. So I think if you have the opportunity, especially as a new leader, or if you are promoting somebody on your team into a leadership role, don't underestimate the power of having that external voice coming in was really, really fantastic. Helped me set those boundaries, helped me redefine those relationships without losing the human aspect of it, without losing that credibility that you have built up over all of those years.
Did you ever find yourself in a tough situation where you had to have some interesting conversations, let's say, with folks?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we can talk about one of the times where I was in a very challenging situation and ended up being able to turn this into, I think, a situation where it was great. I mean, we moved into a place where it was great. In a couple years ago, I found myself in a position where I was asked to take on the role of interim CEO. And I had to make some very difficult decisions. The company was in a place where we needed to make some very significant restructuring layoffs, and we needed to reorg the company in a place that, and I was suddenly on Monday, I was, president of the organization. I had a key business partner with me. And on Tuesday, I was faced with having to significantly reorganize the company, lay off people that I had not just hired, but had been, prior to becoming president, had been peers of mine, had been confidants of mine, had been, people that were, they were my go-tos. And I was faced in that next day with having to make some of those very difficult decisions. And I think the first thing that you have to do, going back to make sure you've got the right people in the room with you, you've got that right circle around you. I'm not going to be the first person to pull up the budget spreadsheet and figure out what we actually need to do, nor am I going to be the one helping, figure out a lot of the stuff that comes along with a restructure like that from an HR perspective. Also, I'm not expected to know there's 300 people at the company at that time. I don't know the details of every single person and what they do. I mean, we were talking about the livelihoods of a number of different people. There were times where I just wanted to curl up into a ball or run away. I wasn't sure which one. But I had 300 people looking at me going, what are we doing next? And that was the point where I was like, communication. We are just going to face this head on. We are going to be as much of an open book as makes sense to do this. And I created a meeting that I still do today, or 3 years later. It's called 10 with KN. I don't miss a week. Every Friday, 10 a.m., 10 minutes. I sweat through the first few. Because I'm talking about major changes to the company.
Yeah.
And now it's just one of my favorite meetings that I do. It's anything that's on my mind, from what my kids said in the morning to big company updates to huge wins that we've had, kudos to lessons learned, whatever it is. Each week looks a little bit different. And I think implementing that during that time of unrest, so to speak, was what got us through and made that a successful place.
So it begs me to ask the question on transparency, because I think every CEO that I've ever worked with or president has a different definition of transparency to the organization, of what you can share and what you should share. So I'd love to hear since you brought up your 10 a.m. at Friday, I have to ask, what is enough but not too much information? How do you figure out how to draw that line?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, because I think it's so situation dependent. And we have gone through a couple of different iterations of how much we share and when we share it. But the real key is how you share it. And I could walk up, we've had, a couple of quarters that haven't turned up so well in the past couple of years. I could walk up at the beginning of 10 with KN, or I could, at a company town hall or something, and slam the team for that. I don't know about you, but I'm not motivated by negative reinforcement.
No, that doesn't.
Many people are not. Now, some people are. Some people are, I'm going to prove you wrong and I'm going to go for it. What I have found is most people are not reinforced that way, and they're reinforced by the positive. So where can you take the glimmers of hope in those tough situations? And where can you take, how do you avoid getting complacent when numbers are looking great? We've had a fantastic beginning start to the year. How do we make sure we don't just become complacent to that? Oh, that was easy. We're just gonna continue to coast. So it's my favorite answer. It totally depends. I generally find, though, that more is better unless you're in a situation where less is more.
That's a good answer. I like that.
Isn't that one of the most?
That's a good one.
Diplomatic ways to respond to that question. It's tough, because what I have learned the hard way is that words carry so much weight and so much meaning, but they are interpreted only by the person listening to them.
Yeah.
And so I can write something down. I can request a meeting with somebody. And I mean, I had a situation where I requested a meeting from someone and they were like, oh my God, Karen's going to fire me. Oh, no, I just wanted to chat.
Yeah.
I'm not that scary. The way you communicate things can be interpreted in a lot of
Yeah.
different ways. And so that's where it is. It's just tricky. And it's about knowing your audience. And I'm quite sure that if I went in to become a leader at another company, I would have a whole huge learning curve of figuring out what the audience is there, what they can understand, what they can handle.
So I got to ask another question, because you have a psychology degree. So I'm believing that that's probably helping you a lot in these kinds of situations. Do you find that to be the case or not?
I'd love to say that I remember a lot more than I do from my courses in psychology. My
But
undergraduate degree.
it's part of you though, because you
Yeah,
love
it's a
you if you love psychology, then I'm not saying you're using psychology on people.
no, I
Yeah,
totally understand where you're going. I'll summarize it like this. I have always done things in my life that I enjoy. If I'm not enjoying it, I'm out. So when I arrived on campus at Franklin and Marshall a lot of years ago at this point, I wanted to be a biology major. I don't know why. Maybe I'd liked a bio class in
yeah.
high school. Well, to get to Bio 101, I had to take Chem 101. That was not my speed.
I'm with you on that one. Chem 101 didn't agree with me either.
It did not agree with me. I did not enjoy the class. I mean, I'm sure the professor was wonderful for
Yeah.
those that like chemistry, but we did not click. And I most of all hated that Tuesday afternoon lab. It was just,
Oh yeah.
I
That's
needed my
still a
nap before
nightmare. I
going
still
off to
wake up in a
practice
cold
or
sweat on that one.
whatever. That was the point where I was like, oh dear. I didn't start majoring in psychology until I was a junior. So I had quite a bit of catch up to do. But once I found that first class, it clicked with everything that I have done up to that point. And just understanding people. eh, And I think you're absolutely right. Psychology is a huge part of what you do as a leader every single day. So while I may not remember all of the theories, there's some underlying foundational
It's just
philosophy around it that
innate in you, maybe.
couldn't have been a better choice in terms of a major. Although imagine graduating a liberal arts college degree with a liberal arts degree in psychology. I was like, oh dear, now what?
Yeah. Well, it turned out very well for you.
It turned out okay.
Yeah, very, very well. So we talked about some of the key turning points. Do you want to share any other key turning points?
I will share one of the very early pivotal moments in my career. I was 25 years old. I'd just come out of, well, I was didn't know it at the time, but I was getting ready to finish my 4 years at L'Oreal. I was getting itchy. I was ready for something else, a new challenge. I wanted to keep learning. And I ended up taking a course at Tragon, which then later, as you said, merged to become Curion in 2017, because I was curious, because I was like, it's this company. They're fairly well known. They've got a couple offices. They seem like they're growing. And I went out and took a 3-day training course. And at that time, I just fell in love with the company. It was walked in and I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. Wow, these people know what they're talking about. Anyway, fast forward to the last day of the course, I walked into the CEO's office, because that's what you do when you're 25 and you want something. You go straight to the source.
Why
It was a
not?
30-person company at the time.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily recommend that at a larger company, but it worked out for me.
I
Actually,
recommend
he
it
said
to
no. So
anybody.
it
I
didn't work out for me initially.
got the
He said
passion.
no because he wasn't looking to have somebody work in Chicago, which is where I had my eyes set on for personal reasons. But I wasn't really willing to give up because I knew that they had plans to open an office in Chicago. And so I emailed him again after I got home and I was like, well, what if I came to work out in California for a year? And then as you open up the office in Chicago, I would move out there. Anyway, about 6 months later, I ended up starting at the company. So I think it's just one of those moments where I realized, I think if I'd been turned down at that point, it would have been pivotal in a very different way for me, defeated. But it was a pivotal moment because I asked for what I wanted. I was told no, and I still went and got it anyway.
Those are the best stories. I
Yeah.
think all my best jobs were I was told no first.
Yep.
And I like you said, the passion and the feelings.
If you feel like you want something, go for it. Just go get it.
Yeah,
And don't be afraid to keep learning as you go.
absolutely. All right. So next question is, what do you enjoy? It sounds like you enjoy being a leader. So
I
this has
guess
been very
so.
enjoyable. So I don't know, but I'll ask it anyways. What are some of the things that you enjoy about being a leader now that you're a leader,
Yeah.
moving to that state, so to speak?
Yeah. I bore easily, which my team will tell you. If you need something from Keren and you want her focused, 9 a.m. and do it in the first 10 minutes of the meeting. If you just want to get something past her without her really realizing what's going on, end of a meeting on a Friday. I bore fairly easily, and things need to move at a fairly rapid pace for me. And I think that's the part of my job that keeps me on my toes. And this company in general, working with our clients and doing what we do, there's a constant evolution. You are never static. And I think, yes, I've been here for 15 years, but each job, each role, each week down to the day has been different. And it's just a continuous growth with that. So, and then the energy of people, I think that's the other big piece that I enjoy. Despite being an introvert, I have a lot of learned behaviors that have allowed me to pull energy from others within the company.
Nice, nice. So what do you look for in others, in your team and customers for that matter? But we can start with in your four walls, but then maybe because you do interact a lot with customers,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think self-awareness is something that we don't interview enough for and interviewing's tough. You just expected to make a judgment on somebody in half hour or even an
Yeah.
hour, even over dinner. It is tough. But I think people, clients included, because I'm sure you've worked with the number of people over the years, and there are great clients and there are more challenging clients. And the great ones are the ones that are self-aware. They know what they are strong at, and they're not afraid to lean on you as their vendor of choice to support them and surround them. And it's the same goes with somebody I'm hiring for my team or to work as a peer to me. You want someone that is aware of themselves in the situation and can
Mhm.
read the room. And I think the curiosity piece comes into that as well. If you are not working with a client that is curious, at least in research, they're likely in the wrong position. But I think that
Yeah.
goes too for the teams that I'm managing as well. You want somebody that is just a natural, lifelong learner. If you've got somebody showing up and doing 1, 2, 3 because you told them to do 1, 2, 3, that's great. There's probably a wonderful place for that person, but likely not on my leadership team.
So is your nature of your business breaking paradigms in just because of the nature of what you do or not?
Say more about that.
Breaking paradigms, looking
Okay.
outside the box, not just being because you're always inventing, aren't you? I mean,
Yes.
I'm trying to
Yes.
understand. I obviously don't know your business, but it sounds like it's very inventive and you have to look at things constantly different as the demographics are continually changing and you're on the bleeding edge of that.
Yes.
Is that what gets
So
things
so
going?
yes and no.
Okay.
There is a big piece of our business that is making sure that our clients' products are still the best liked products out there, that they don't change. There is a big piece of that, and making and doing that. The methodologies with which we go after that haven't been updated in years, and there's a big push, especially now with the introduction of or availability of AI and other
Mm-hmm.
tools. There's a big push to break the paradigm of the research. So oh, I guess with that, there's a lot of clients out there and people even on the team that are afraid of breaking those paradigms down. And then there's the other aspect of the business when we're consulting with clients on innovation, which is a huge part of what we do, pushing our clients, pushing ourselves to innovate beyond those conventional practices. I think that the industry that we are in is a very interesting one, that it hasn't seen a lot of evolution over the past 10, 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it is starting to now. So it's something that we are staying on, we're trying to do our very best to stay on the forefront of.
Yeah, I mean that I've spent a lot of time in the AI world, and the branding, the marketing. There's so many new tools to help you accelerate what you would have done on paper per se. It doesn't eliminate the work. It just alleviates the busy work of the work.
Yeah, yeah. I think people learning how to use that was the biggest challenge that we have faced so far. There was sort of this mindset of, oh gosh, we can't use that. You can't replace a human brain. No, you're not going to
No.
replace a human brain, and you're not going to replace a consumer's response to the product. But what if we could skip from A to C, bypassing what we were normally doing in B, and get to that next step a little bit faster. And that's where we've added more to our toolbox in the past 12 months than we have in the past 5 years
It's,
because of the tools like that. So but yeah, it's a shift in people. It's a shift in how people operate on a day-to-day basis. People who you thought were curious maybe are not as curious when it comes to these types of changes. And so we're almost looking for a slightly different profile, especially for folks that are going to be working on new products within Curion.
yeah, I think you have to be willing to really look outside the box and give up something that you might be used to doing to allowing other ways of getting that done so you can do other things.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's a give up. You're giving up something that you felt was always you did the best, and it took
Yeah.
you half a day or whatever it was. And now to have something do that same thing in 5 minutes, it's kind of overwhelming and
It,
questionable.
it is. And I've always been, I kind of need to see it to believe it type of person. And I think a lot of people are that way. And when you can't see it, it
Yeah.
is tough to believe what the outcome is. And rightly so, people question how you got to where you got. So yeah,
Well,
it's definitely something we are playing around with deeply
yeah.
and changing, yeah, breaking down the barriers in a number of different ways, both through the change management and also
Hmm.
just developing of new methodologies.
Yeah.
Reverse order, I think.
Yeah. The change management. I mean, the way I look at it, it's a companion. It's like what we see within a year or two is everybody will have an AI companion that helps them,
Mhm.
like a buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I mean, it's helped me in just in communication. I say I just kind of fast type something out. I'm like, make this make sense.
I do it all the time. It helps me, saves me tremendous amount of time.
Tremendous amount of time. The real key is don't forget to use your brain.
Yeah.
right? And I see to a fault people using it. And because I use it, I can tell when they've used it and they haven't gone back and used it as, haven't edited their buddy's work.
Yeah, it's personalize it and make it human again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure. So going back to the questions on leadership,
Yeah.
we could do an LOM model on that, but I'm going to ask you, and what are some of the most difficult challenges you've had to overcome as a leader?
Yeah. Well, we talked about the going from a peer to a leader. I think
Yeah.
that was, obviously one of the biggest challenges that I had. The other the kind of the main one is the balancing the family, my health, career. And I think especially for I think anybody, but especially for a mom of three kids that are all under the age of 10 and,
Mm,
without family nearby. That's challenging. It's
yeah.
demanding. That tests me more than some of the tough conversations at work on a daily basis. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist to a fault. I thrive for excellence in everything that I do. Again, something I'm working on is learning that I can't give 100% all the time. I have to be very intentional about where I focus my energy and be okay with letting that go. My example would be yesterday morning, I focused on the kids, and from 7 to 9, we were breakfast. We were getting the kids out the door, we were putting them on the bus. And this morning, I was getting ready to talk to you, and I needed to get a workout in before. And so I can't prioritize getting you breakfast this morning. I surround myself with great people. We have an amazing au pair, and I couldn't do both because you can't expect somebody to be able to do it all. It's just about balancing priorities and letting go of that perfection
Mhm.
and making sure I continue to invest in myself because there have been times where I have not, and it shows up in various areas in terms of how I am to my kids, my husband, and my colleagues.
Yeah, letting go is a hard thing to do, isn't
Yeah, especially when you're kind of a control freak like me.
it? Yeah, I understand that but and watching them make the mistake that you know that they'll make even after say I made that
Exactly.
mistake. Please don't make that mistake.
Exactly. You're always kind of riding that fine line with everybody. Whether I'm talking to my daughter about what her song should be that she tries out with for the school play, or a colleague on how they should respond to a client email. You so badly want to step in there and do it yourself. And I mean, I had a phenomenal manager and leader that I worked for. He's like, you got to stop doing it yourself, because if you don't, they're never going to learn.
Absolutely.
They've got to learn. People have to fall on their face a little bit. And I always say, I was like, someone's like, well, how do you know not to do that? Well, because I fell on my face last time I did that. So you can learn from that, or you can do it yourself and you'll remember next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other piece that is added to that is knowing that you're still there, right?
In their corner every day, everybody. It's a lot of corners to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not four-sided, right?
Yeah.
That is the tough thing. But I often found that it was good to watch other people do things differently and find out that it can be done more than one way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes that other way is just as good, if not better, than the way you were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And raising people, whether my team or my kids, you're you're inspiring them to be their own person, not to be a carbon copy of who you are, and recognizing that they're going to take their own spin on whatever it is that you've given to them. That's helped let go a little bit of that perfection. Like, I can't wait to see what you become, what you do with these newfound skills that you have. But yeah, just letting that go and figuring out how to stay present in the moment. I broke up with my iWatch on January 1st this year.
Oh,
It wasn't really intentional. We were on vacation and I didn't have a way of charging it. And I was like, this is kind of nice, but it has helped me stay present in the moment so that I'm not constantly kind of checking in on it.
you kind of inspired an idea for me, or maybe what it would be fun to do is to say in your meeting with your team, say, what did you learn from your kids today that you can use
Ah,
for work?
there you go.
You could that could be a ho hummer
Oh,
for
yeah.
a meeting.
Yep. We did do one 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks ago? We said, what advice would you give to your young? Oh, no, it wasn't what your advice. It was say, what would your younger self be very proud of you for doing today? And I mean, certainly my younger self would not believe that I was hosting a meeting with, 200 people on it or talking on a podcast, no less.
There you go. Yeah. So the last question in this section is the proverbial, what's the difference between management and leadership for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Gosh, that is one that is so often confused. And there's people think that they are one in the same, that just because you have a position of authority, you are automatically a leader. And we've talked about, what a leader really is. And I think sometimes when we talk about that, it makes a manager set out to be sort of the bad part, or like the administrative part of the job. But the reality is the management is so critical as well. The management is the process, and the leadership is about that, gaining that fellowship. It's about the people. But without management, without process, without control, without delegating tasks, tracking performance, enforcing structure, your leader in yourself will not be able to inspire or create a vision for what you're set out to do. You have to have both of them as a truly great person of leadership authority. And I wish that sometimes the two terms didn't get interchanged so much. They're my leader, they're my manager, because they are both. And a great person, a great boss is going to be someone that is both of those things. I think some leaders or some people of authority in companies are probably better managers and others are better leaders. But ideally, you have traits of both that allow you to balance execution with inspiration to help move the business forward.
Yeah. So I have to ask another question about that because you set it up so well, is that some people just want to be a manager. They don't want to be a leader.
Yeah.
And others, of course, aspire to be a leader, but they're really a manager. And then of course, then you have you have all those different permutations. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you are managing those on a regular basis within your team. Any advice from that perspective?
Yeah. You are, I guess, I think you have to sort of turn inwards a little bit. Why do you want to be a manager? Why do you want to be in whatever that next level is? Why do you want to be a director of or VP of, et cetera? Is it the title? If so, I don't want to talk because titles don't matter to me. In fact, when I was offered the job of president, I was like, that I don't like that title. We do something else. Can I just keep my same title? I'll just still do the job. Do you want to have control? Do you feel that there is a better way of doing things? Do you have new ideas that you want to bring to that group? And so really trying to understand why you want that position. Is it the money? What is it? Because there are ways of making money that don't involve leading a team. And you can be very effective at making money without management and without being a leader of a team. So turning inwards and really looking and understanding what you want. But assuming you do want to, and that it is truly something that is sort of intrinsically something you want to be able to do. Understanding, are you more on the leader side or are you more on the manager side? Are you more about figuring out how to optimize, drive efficiency, you know, kind of working within existing frameworks and maybe bettering those? Or are you someone that is going to go out there and challenge the status quo, drive change, push boundaries, move forward? And then how do you make sure that you get the right job for you? Because I've just seen so many people raise their hand for the next job because, oh, I've been here for 5 years, I've been here for 10 years, or I've come in with my, master's or PhD or whatever it might be. I'm worthy of the next position. But are you? And what do you actually want to accomplish in that role? So I think like all comes down to self-awareness and understanding yourself before you jump into something like that. It's not for everybody.
No, but I heard there, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in summarizing this way, but in the manager side, it's more about maybe the process versus the leader is more about enabling people. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the right summary or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And some wonderful leaders I've worked with, they make sure that they've got a process person. They make sure that they've got a manager person side next to them to make sure that their ideas are pulled forward. And if you're more on the manager side, you better make sure you got some strong people that have a vision of where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So one more question on leadership that came to my mind here
Yeah.
is in some companies, you'll be in a position for a while, but 5, 10, 15 years, and there's other people who like to mix it up and have people do different positions. What is your philosophy on that? On mixing it up a bit or letting people sit in their places and that are doing a fine job and they're doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, there's the saying that if you're not growing, you're moving backwards. And I think that probably applies here as well. The only constant is change itself. That doesn't mean to say that there are not some jobs that, hey, I had a review with a guy once that was like, hey, Karen, I'm good. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I am great here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fantastic, but we need to think about how to evolve this team around you then. And so being aware of those individuals is important. That doesn't mean to say that, they need to go somewhere, but the reality is if the company is not growing, it's moving backwards. If people are not continually challenged in new ways, it's going to be very difficult for the company to continue to grow. And so intentionally making changes, I am extremely supportive of. Making change for change's sake, which probably it's not, most people are not trying to do that. That's where it gets a little bit challenging. And especially if you get new leaders in, okay, well, we're gonna, it wasn't working before, so we're gonna try something different. Well, hang on a second. Let's look at how it's set up, and you don't know which tweaks you want to make first. So as someone that didn't like change a lot as a child, I've learned to accept that not only is it a necessary thing, it's an exciting thing. And those are the people that I want to surround myself with that are not afraid to make those changes. And change, much like innovation, doesn't need to be this huge different thing that you're gonna do. It can just be a little tweak in process, a little tweak in your vision. It doesn't need to be huge.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Very nice answer. Thank you. So we're going to switch a little bit. We'll talk about state of the state. Trying to be apolitical in today's world is pretty tough, but we kind of see. I like to. Usually, this question is a lot easier than it is right now. But obviously, the economy is going in many different directions. We're definitely under a tumultuous environment because our leader of our nation wants it to be tumultuous. He wants change. He wants forced change. So, how is that affecting you, your team, your clients? And how are you? I mean, obviously you're embracing change, so your folks it's not gonna catch you guys
We're learning to.
blindsided for sure.
Yep.
So, how can you capitalize on that to even grow higher than vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the truth is none of us have a crystal ball. No one does. But what I do know is that the best businesses are not the ones reacting
Yeah.
to the economy. They're the ones that are figuring out ways to thrive in any environment. So evolving, adapting, staying agile, continuing to kind of evolve. And in doing so, though, being aware, we don't want to turn the TV off and, close our browsers, etc. We need to be aware, what is the data saying? What are the numbers? How is the consumer behavior influencing behind the scenes, or influencing those headlines? And then figuring out where are you going to invest, and kind of just getting yourself in a very adaptable way, like position to succeed no matter what comes at you. So we talk a lot about, like, a balloon being able to contract and expand,
Mhm.
that we were a little mouse moving from side to side. And that's kind of, I like to feel like we can be bigger, we can be smaller, we can move left, we can move right, because as our business is so reliant on all of the big brands out there. When they've got money to spend, when they're investing in consumer insights, we do wonderfully. And when they're not, that's challenging for us. So being able to be adaptable, nimble in any environment is just incredibly important right now. And I think we'll probably end up setting up more businesses for success in the long term.
Yeah, I think because of that tumultuous environment, that there are some of my partners who say, when this happens, their business actually goes up because there's more uncertainty in the market. Therefore, companies are looking for solutions outside their four walls because they know they can't fix these problems within their four walls.
Yeah. We've often said that, our business is somewhat recession proof, because when we have downturn times, many clients are looking for ways to cut the costs out of products here and there, or innovate in a shorter, faster way, and they've got to get the feedback from consumers. And so creating our big push recently has been creating a section of products within our company that are pulse products, and so meaning very agile, very quick turn insights. I think that's one way that we have responded to the sort of tumultuous environment that we are in right now. Is, hey, yeah, we can spend 10 weeks doing a project for you, but I can also get you results tomorrow if you want. Just different ways of not reacting to, but moving with the economy, I suppose, if it's possible.
If it's possible. So you might have already answered this, but I'll just answer it directly. What are those most significant challenges that what you're seeing out there today that people
Actually, yeah, I don't know if we did touch on that one too much. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is talent, finding the right talent, keeping the right talent. It's not just about compensation. It's about creating an environment where people feel valued, engaged, motivated to stay. Different from 20 years ago, there's so much out there, if you're going on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you get, especially for the younger folks in their career, they see this sort of idolized world of what a job can be and what companies can provide to them, and are always thinking the grass perhaps is greener on the other side. I don't know if it is. Perhaps it is. Let's talk.
That goes back to our grandparents saying the grass is greener on the other
Yes.
side. I think it's
I got lots of phrases like that.
yeah. I mean, but it seems like as we get older, we just become our parents, like that commercial.
Shh,
We
don't tell them.
not yet, anyways. But there's no way to avoid that. It's all about perspective, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the last couple of years, we have a lot of focus on the culture within the company and creating different types of events that make people feel connected, not just to the people that they work with every day, but people across the organization. So, whether it be book clubs or pet pageants, yes, you heard that one right, or, skill swaps, learning, you end up, no matter where you work, you end up working in small groups or silos, and it can make you feel, even myself, it can make you feel very small. It can make you feel very isolated from folks, especially with the virtual environment or hybrid environment that most of us are in these days. The challenge is breaking down those barriers, breaking down that virtual wall in front of us and making us feel like we're not just sitting in front of a computer screen, that we're actually connecting with people. It's not perfect, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. We've also made a huge effort to invest in employee health, like the health survey within the employees, getting a pulse on your people. We have metrics around improving that, and you're never going to be perfect, but understanding where you're at and where you want to go in the next 6 months helps give us a lot of focus. I think one of the biggest things I hear people asking for is training and development. They want to know that you're invested in them. And something I always say to the team is, I want you to develop the skills that you're looking for to get you to where you want to go in your next role. I don't know how long anybody's going to be at my company. Maybe it'll be another year, maybe it'll be another 20 years. Whatever it is, come here, get the skills make sure you're getting as much out of this company as we're getting out of you. And so building those training programs, making people feel that they have the opportunity to get more development opportunities and that we are invested in them is so important. Again, it's not perfect, and not everybody sees what we're doing as the best, but the opportunities are there. We've created development plans for every employee, which just helps have someone open up those conversations that we weren't having before. And now when we posted for an internal role, and we had, I don't know, 5% of the company or something apply, which for a role that you posted, that's amazing. When now people are going, oh, hey, I and it's not just within that same function. It was people from all over the company applying for this. So I think that in those areas we've been successful in showing people that it's not just a one track thing, that you can connect to people and you can move in different ways.
So does that trust and that you built within your company, obviously the employees must have that element of trust then, and does that bleed over into your customers and how you work with your customers?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I always say happy employees make happy clients, because everyone at this company is a leader, especially those that are client facing, because the client wants to go and follow them. And if you're inspiring the client and creating followership, you are bringing in revenue for the company. You're developing and building those relationships. And so, yeah, happy people are going to do the best work for the company. I think that doesn't matter where you work, that's very much a common theme.
That's a fantastic answer. So it's hard. It might be a good place to end the podcast, because you want to end happy, right?
Yeah, end happy. There you
We
go.
want to end happy.
Certainly don't ask another question on the economy.
Yeah, we're going to end the economy section happy, talking about happy employees and happy clients. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for this time. I know you're very busy. I
Yeah,
hope you found it enjoyable. I did.
absolutely.
It was a good time, and we look forward to hearing your continued career.
Well, thank you, Jim. I really appreciate you having me on here.
Thanks so much.